AI can already do all of the jobs that we as humans do. It's just a question of how we apply it and use it.
You seem pretty easygoing about AI replacing you, but how do your employees feel?
Well, I think what we've done internally hasn't been reported as widely is we stopped hiring about a year ago, so we were 4,500, now we're 3,500. We have a natural attrition as every tech company, so people stay about 5 years, so 20% leave every year. And by not hiring, we're simply shrinking, right? What we've said to our employees, though, is what's going to happen is the total salary cost of Klarna is going to shrink, but part of the gain of that is going to be seen in your paycheck. So we're going to give some of the improvements that the efficiency that AI provides by increasing the pace at which the salary of our employees increases. And that's because of that message being very consistent for myself and management for the last year. People internally, Klarna, are just rallying to deploy as much efficiency AI as they can, because it just means it has direct implications on their equity and their cash compensation for working at Klarna.
All right, everybody, welcome. As you saw in that beginning video, we are speaking AI. And so today I wanted to speak about the sentiments that's going around of they trained us and then replaced us. And as we saw that in the beginning video that I just played, we can see that more and more jobs are shrinking and people are being used to train AI, create efficiency AI. But don't worry, it's going to show up in your equity. And the harder and the harder and the harder you work to use efficiency AI, the better it'll be for you. And that's all well and good. But then what does that mean when AI eventually replaces you? Welcome everybody to Pokes on Relationship. Here we speak everything relationships, and today I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into AI and its relationship with your money, with your job, with your creativity. So they trained on us and then replaced us. And the question that has been going out and a lot of sentiments that have been coming out a lot lately is, well, AI isn't stolen human work. So is it really, is AI stolen human intellectual property? And there's this sentence that has kept coming over and over again that I've been thinking about, and not because it's clever, but because it does feel unfair. A lot of people are feeling hard done by the fact that they were working, not knowing that their work, or maybe some of them did know, were training machines, never thinking that the machines were going to be the very thing that would replace them in the first place. And it feels unfair in a way that people are really struggling to articulate. Well, perhaps people are not actually struggling to articulate, but it's coming across as frustration, anger, feeling sidelined, marginalized, duped. But the real issue is deeper than that. And so I don't think it's just about jobs or technology. I think people are reaching something deeper. And it's the sense that their efforts, their creativity, their hard work was extracted from them with or without their permission, with no compensation, and is now, in a sense, feeling like it's being used against them. So the real question is AI innovation? Well, the real question isn't. The question isn't, is AI innovation inevitable? We know that it is. It's here to stay. It's accelerating at a very fast and rapid pace. But is AI being built in a way that violates basic fairness between humans and systems? And that's the question that I wanted to dive in deeper. And I guess what we are seeing right now is not just automation. It's extraction of people's mentality, extraction of people's creativity, extraction of people's hard work. And that's the real issue. I think that's what people are starting to feel very frustrated by, is that human writing, art, code, conversations, images, labor, and judgment were used to train systems. These are like fascinating machine systems, and without consent and without compensation or credit, and feels like just a few people are benefiting from that. On the other hand, as I say, I always like to bring a balance to when we are having these conversations about technology, because while that might be the case, there are also, on the other hand, millionaires being created by AI every day. People who wouldn't have otherwise had opportunities to make something of themselves. And so while I do agree and I can completely understand the sentiment that AI is built on human work, human knowledge, human creativity, art, human information, in the same breath, people who would never have had access to certain information, business information, coaching, how to, start YouTube channels like what I'm doing now, or how to build a business where you would have had to pay maybe tons of money to either go to a college or a school to get that information. AI is helping people with that. People who didn't perhaps have enough money to go to school for code are able to use AI to help themselves, move themselves further in life because of AI. And so it's a very interesting tension to straddle, just to a very interesting line of conversation, because it's very difficult to just come out and say technology is bad or that it's absolutely good, because there are always two sides to the story. And so here's a principle that I guess keeps surfacing. People don't object to machines helping them. And as I said before, it's helped people. It's become a leveler in many instances and in many communities that have over time perhaps been lagging behind in some industries. But I think that it's not just about that. I think people are objecting being harvested, right? And then just discarded. You use me and then you just discard me. And so I guess that's the pain point, is that you trained that, and that's where the heading comes from. They trained on us, then replaced us. And that doesn't feel like innovation in a lot of ways. It feels like extraction without reciprocity, without any sort of benefit. And I think more and more than just that, people want to also be able to have a say in the direction that AI is going to be taking shape in society. They want to have a say in how AI is going to be very much involved in their day-to-day life. They don't want just a couple of tech billionaires to be the ones who are directing the direction of AI in our society, and rightfully so, because AI has been very disruptive in ways that people, I think, just never imagined and were not ready for. And it's only fair enough for them to want to have a real input and direction, and where it impacts them and how it impacts them. Because after all, it is built on human intellectual property, for lack of a better word. And I think it's also just about fairness, dignity, just people wanting fairness and dignity, especially those whose work have been affected by AI. It's something that we really need to also pay attention to and start considering, well, as human beings, what are we going to do? How are we going to overcome this? How are we going to overcome this expedition, or the expedited AI in our society? It's going at such a rapid pace. Don't get left behind. Let's not get left behind. And it looks like a lot of what AI is taking over are very key places where relationships would have otherwise assisted you. So I think for me, when I just think just off the cuff of my head, when I just think, okay, well, what would be a very good solution for people who are affected by AI? We have communities now. We have LinkedIn that is supposed to be a community where people can find work. But honestly, I think that the more powerful way would be leveraging strong relationships within your circle or creating new ones. We are now at a time where I genuinely believe that the human race is slowly coming full circle and is starting to appreciate human relationship a bit more. Or maybe that's just what I really am hoping for. Because as I've mentioned in previous episodes, societies who fast track technology and advancement often end up in a path of population decline, because more and more people are needing people less, or people are reaching for people less. And there have been layers to how we've ended up here. There've been the world pandemic that happened. And then after that, there's a lot of things moving online, people working from home and not necessarily needing to have interaction with other human beings. And nations that are fast approaching situations and instances of population decline, I think the people in that community can actually start being intentional about relationships. And in this case, I think work networking relationships, because it's not slowing down. I wanted to also share another video with you. I shared it in a previous video, but I wanted to share it again, just to buttress my point about where we're going in terms of AI. Take a listen about just really the mentality and the vision that is being not forced on us, but very strongly pushed in our society.
You won't hire any more coders at Salesforce. And you've said today's CEOs will be the last to manage all human workforces. What does this mean for businesses?
Well, I think I just had a meeting, coming from a meeting with my head of engineering, and we're looking at productivity levels of 30 to 50% this year in key functions like engineering, coding, support.
You're saying
service.
AI is doing 30 to 50% of the work?
AI is doing 30 to 50% of the work at Salesforce now. And I think that will, continue. I think that all of us have to get our head around this idea that AI can do things that before, we were doing.
Okay, so I want to pause there. This is the second video. The first one was like, well, AI can do almost all the jobs that humans can do. Okay, that was by the Klarna CEO in the first video that I showed. And perhaps I'll show it again. And then this is the second time we're being told we better get our heads wrapped around the idea that AI is going to do a lot of the work, the human work, which leaves a huge gap for just human beings and where that leaves us as a society. But again, we're human beings, we're resilient, we're very intelligent creatures. And I'm of the opinion that there's nothing that stops us from saying, no, we're still going to want to build companies that are going to employ human beings. We're still going to work on our network and make sure that we start building strong tribes and strong communities that are very much adamant on maintaining this human dignity, maintaining this human ability to do something with our hands, to create and to feel good about it and to be able to put food on the table. It's not impossible, and it's not something, all hope is not lost, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But I'll finish up this video and I'll continue just on some of the ideas that I've been thinking about of how we can actually really benefit from AI and where this world is going.
We can move on to do higher value work. And I do think, to your point, CEOs have to.
Could an agent replace you one day?
I hope so.
You hope so.
I mean, of course, I'm partially kidding, that. But we're becoming more automated.
We're becoming more automated. Even in love, we are becoming more automated. And this helps explain why people feel angry rather than merely anxious, because this isn't about adaptability, it's about fairness. I mean, you can adapt to change, but it's much harder to adapt to the feeling of being exploited. And it doesn't stop at work. When people feel economically disposable, relational stability erodes too. Job loss isn't just income loss, it's stress, delayed family formation, resentment, fear, disconnection, systems that extract without regard for continuity eventually destabilize families. Okay, and I'm going to share an article with you of that fact exactly. Families just being destabilized, and just, and it's not that people are weak, but because the ground beneath them is shifting. Literally, the ground beneath them is shifting. I'm going to share this article with you. Why Amazon is cutting up to 30,000 jobs. And this was just in the past week. And it says Amazon frames the layoffs as part of a structural reset aimed at building a leaner, more efficient organization. Several factors are driving these cuts. Excess management layers. Years of hiring created overlapping roles and slowed decision making. Okay, I can appreciate that. As a company, we don't want too many bottlenecks, right? We don't want such bureaucracy, and then we're not able to advance and move well and be excellent as a company. I can support that. Post-pandemic normalization. Growth forecasts from 2020 to 2022 did not materialize at the expected scale. I completely understand that. It wasn't just Amazon that experienced that. A lot of companies experienced that. A lot of mom and pop shops that had to close down because just business was slow. People didn't have work again, or people were not going out as much. And so it makes sense. But here is the thing. AI and automation, which in my opinion, I think is the real reason for the job cuts. New systems reduce the need for routine reporting and operational tasks. How did these systems get to know what they know? It had to have been people working on these systems that trained them and have become so good at what they're doing that it replaced them. Pretty much it replaced them. I'd be interested to actually find out more details about this 30,000 job cuts in terms of the percentages. How many of the 30,000 or what percentage of that was actually excess management and post-pandemic, and how much of that was really AI and automation? I mean, I am taking a wild guess. Don't quote me on this, but I have a suspicion that it might be greater than 40%. And then again, capital reallocation. Amazon is redirecting resources toward cloud infrastructure, AI development, logistics, efficiency. Weren't we told that, AI is just great, it's going to create more jobs, it's going to create more jobs, it's going to create more jobs, and we heard videos and, it's going to be great for humanity, and then it will help humanity. And now the wages allocation is being redirected to machines. I can understand why job loss now isn't income loss. It's stress, delayed family formation, resentment, fear, disconnection. Because I wonder how many families, what are they going to do? But here's the thing. Systems that extract without regard for continuity eventually destabilize families, not because humans are weak, but as I said, the ground below them is shifting. But here's the thing. We can use AI to leverage and to start thinking out the box. This era that we're in is here. And so what can we do? So I read a chapter actually from this book. It's called The Tribe of Millionaires. And there was a portion in it that I thought was pretty awesome. So maybe not to spoil the book for you. It's just the book speaks about a person, maybe spoiler alert. Okay, spoiler. I'm going to tell you just a little bit about the book so that I can get my point across. A young man inherits all of his father's estate. He has a business. The business is struggling and he needs to pay salaries, but he's not making money. And some of the business strategies and plans and ideas haven't come through. He hasn't spoken to his dad in a long time, but in a couple of years, and eventually goes to his dad's funeral and meets people that all seem to be wearing the same outfits and have a particular card that says Tom. And that obviously, it took me a while, but I'm like, oh, Tribe of Millionaires, obviously. Well, clearly not obviously, because I didn't get it at first. But here's what's very interesting about it is that he had to go and meet the person that was the executor of his dad's estate. And then they brought him into this community and into this tribe. And initially he was skeptical about it and decided that he didn't really want to have anything to do with it. Just, things with his dad hadn't quite ironed out yet. And then he's like, what is this Tom anyway? And then the man said, it's a tribe of millionaires. And he's like, tribe of millionaires. And he became very interested because I guess at that time, his company was struggling. But that's not the point. The point is he had to go and meet these group of people, tribe of millionaires. And what he realized was that they were all happy, doing similar things, and had also had similar stories. And some of them had come into that community because their businesses were struggling. And the community, the group, the mindset of the people that were around him were very able to, in just a short meeting off the cuff, brainstorm brilliant ideas and perspectives that he had never thought about for his business. Okay. And I thought that would be so brilliant. Why don't people do that? Why don't we start forming stronger relationships in order to combat this AI thing that is going on? Because at the end of the day, that's, what's happening right now is if we don't build relationships with each other, then AI is going to start replacing that relationships that we've already seen with AI husbands and AI dating. And so for me, this is where we should pause. Here's the part that makes us pause. The same systems that replace human labor are now offering emotional substitution. Chatbots, companions, humanoids that never demand fairness in return. And that's not accidental. Okay? It's what happens when systems are optimized, when they become more about efficiency and not reciprocity. So, but if we decide that we are rather going to connect with ourselves in order for the survival of the human race, then perhaps we can survive this AI era that we're in. And so I wanted to read some chapters about just, having a community and the impact and the benefit of how this can really assist you, especially right now in this time that we're in. It says it's called the influence effect, right? It says you're subtly and powerfully shaped by your environment. That's true. A lot of people who think that AI and this new era that we're in, not a new one per se, but a continuation of just the tech boom that has been taking place for the past 2 decades. It's influencing you, whether you like it or not. It's creeping into your home, whether you want it or not. And it's affecting you and it's shaping you. And this line says, often below the level of your awareness. And the most powerful of environmental influences is the people around you. The people you choose to surround yourself with can be an anchor that holds you back or the sail that moves you forward. The choice is yours. Why is this so powerful? Why are relationships, especially in these times, so powerful? And it goes on to explain the multiplier effect of having effective relationships and powerful relationships around you. If you've heard before, your net worth is your network. This is one of the solutions and the ways around it. It says that the right group of people compound your efforts. The right group of people doesn't just add to your effort, it multiplies them. Multiplication happens through creativity, clarity, and connectivity. Connectivity. This is why I've been saying strong relationships as a form of resistance. The best groups don't make decisions for you. They give you the raw ideas for more options, the clarity to choose the best course, and the connections to help execute faster and better. The wrong group confounds, and the right group compounds. And I thought that was just an excellent piece of advice. And the more I'm thinking about just AI and how it's playing its way into every part of our relationships. And right now, it's in our human relationships, our intimate relationships, love. Okay, like your husband and wife with the AI chatbots, that it's infiltrating that. It's come into and sort of taken over our work relationships. And recently I saw a church with AI, and that it's infiltrating very, very intimate key parts of our human essence. And if we don't do anything about it, I wonder what will happen to us. But as I'm seeing more and more, the very simple way to deal with this is just to be more intentional about being connected. Anyway, systems that profit from people while discarding them cannot sustain trust, families, or social stability. Fairness isn't optional, it's foundational. And this is worth thinking about because the future isn't just about smarter machines. It's about whether human contribution still matters. And I would like to argue that it still very much matters. And we can make it matter by just deciding to choose humans. Anyway, I hope that was very interesting for you. It certainly is interesting for me as I unpack more and more just the value of relationships and how it can really save society. It can save the human race. So relationships in every way. And I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. How have you, if you've been affected by AI, if you've lost your job to AI, how has the community around you played a part in you being able to survive it? Do you have a community at all? What are your thoughts on this? And do you know of anyone that has been affected in a relationship by AI? I'd like to know. I'd really like to know, because I wonder if I'm the only one that's thinking this way. But thank you again for joining me for another live. I look forward to just building a community, building strong people who are passionate about people, human life, and strong relationships as a form of resistance. Until next time, bye-bye.